The Kuwaiti has long been known for his ability to adapt to the natural forces of his surroundings and to provide for himself despite the lack of natural resources such as drinking water and other food-related security. Since the 50s, the traces of oil era started to show up and the Kuwaiti, as usual, started to adapt to this change. The total development has overwhelmed all the aspects of life in the country relative to habitation, education, health, transportation, telecommunications, trade, electricity, water, and every aspect related to construction and infrastructure development of the country. There is no doubt that this development demands both local and indigenous resources to satisfy the need for the necessary basic materials for construction works and development. At that period, the faces were turned towards the desert, where all these resources are available and accessible, such as sand and gravels that are necessary for this rapid development movement in the country. At these times, the concept of sustainable development was not as popular as it is now. It did not occur to anyone's mind that such activities would negatively affect the sensitive environmental balance of the Kuwaiti desert, which used to be endowed abundantly with a variety of wildlife and plants. No doubt, it is the cost of growth and development by which Kuwait will be among developed nations and handle the current and future issues with high level of confidence and professionalism. The minimum activity a person will do to adapt with the living conditions could result in having adverse effects on his surroundings unless he takes the necessary precautions that would guarantee the continuity of the development wheel span with the last possible damage on environmental balance. Thus, human activities that harmed the desert ecosystem since the early times of the development were classified into the following 4 stages. First, excavation stage. Deep excavation in the ground as a result of extraction of raw gravel materials where the vegetation cover and surface soil were completely destroyed. Second, transportation. The mass roads that were caused by the movement of heavy trucks which transported the raw material from the point of excavation to the point of processing. The surface soil was compacted, which caused the shrub and grass to perish along the paths where they passed through. Moreover, the disturbance of rainwater drain, which ends up at the compacted surfaces and the water evaporated soon before leaking vertically to its natural reserve under the ground. The processing stage. This is represented by the amount of useless dust and sand that resulted from crushing of raw materials into different commercial sizes. The dust reached the suburbs and the sand hills surrounded the site from all directions. Scattered construction wastes. Such was the environmental deterioration caused by the huge amount of construction wastes brought from the city by empty trucks coming to transport processed gravel to construction sites. These wastes were thrown randomly on the desert way all over the way to the crushing companies. This was the status of Liyah quarry area, environmental damages that manifested itself in the soil and surface of the desert that terminated all aspects of life. In addition to that are the health hazards affecting the quality of breathing air reaching the urban areas 40 kilometers on the southeast. In 1995, Resolution number 973 was issued and considered as the first step on the right track and the kickoff of the rehabilitation process of this severely deteriorating environmental condition. The resolution stated that the ban of quarry activities should be fully effective by the beginning of 1997. Also, believing in the importance of paying back to our beloved land, the Council of Ministers issued another resolution in 2001, stating that the remaining of quarries should be refilled and the wildlife should be revived to its original status. The rehabilitation stage. In order to activate this resolution and make it implementable, a committee was formed to refill and level the excavation fields, led by the Security Sessions Follow-up Committee of the Council of Ministers and membership of public organizations such as Kuwait Institute for Scientific Research, Kuwait Oil Company, Kuwait Municipality, Ministry of Defense, Ministry of Interior Affairs, Ministry of Finance, Public Authority of Agriculture and Fisheries, Public Authority of Environment, and Public Authority of Industry. The work plan was set, together with the time schedule and the preparation for task execution, the needed tools, manpower, and land identifications. The team has started with refilling and leveling the quarry sites since October 2001. The sites and spaces of the excavation areas were specified on the map of Kuwait by using high-resolution satellite images. Also, the locations of quarry sites, along with the waste dumping sites, such as construction waste and used tires, were identified precisely. It was clear for the analysis of the collected information that the total size of the excavation site is equivalent to that to the urban areas in Kuwait, estimated to be 3% of the total area of the country. In short, for every 1 square meter developed in the city, there is another square meter having been damaged outside the cities in the remote quarry areas. The overexploitation of gravel excavation activities has led to various environmental problems that have negatively affected the natural balance of the factors and the elements of the desert fragile ecosystem. As a result, the desertification and sand accumulation on the roads and constructions are obviously became a great environmental and safety issue. In addition, due to irrational consumption of natural desert resources, many active sand services were formed, which are considered to be the main sources of drifting sand and sandstorms when the wind blows. In many parts of Kuwaiti desert, hundreds of newly born sand dunes were formed on some parts of the Kuwaiti desert that were never been reported before. This degradation ended up with the extinction of most of the wildlife in the Kuwaiti desert ecosystem, such as birds, mammals, and fauna that characterized the local environment. Rehabilitation stage. As a containing effort to put into operation the Council of Ministers' decision to rehabilitate the quarries and revive the wildlife to its original status, Liyah area was chosen as a sample model of the damaged areas, which contained all kinds of environmental deteriorations that can be found in the Kuwaiti desert. A team of experts and scientific researchers was formed in KISR to pursue studies and experiments to determine the most appropriate means and ways towards rehabilitating Liyah area, specifying a length of 20 kilometers long and 10 kilometers wide to form a sample site for the affected areas north of the country.